Ever wonder why they call it Hollywood, man? Maybe you should look that up. Check it out.
Hollywood makes pictures of Christ that misrepresent him. Mel makes a real one and the whole world is against him. Anti-Semitic, they've given it that title. But if this movie's anti-Semitic, then so's the Bible. You critics fighting the battle, but you cannot win it. Y'all don't wanna stop the movie, just the message is in it. So you trying to get the man that's behind this, but you lying devil, we not ignorant of your devices. I see the plot and the scheme. Y'all don't want the crucifixion to make the big scream, cause people will be seeing that he was wounded for transgressions, crushed for iniquities, and for real, by your stripes we are totally healed. But regardless, God is gonna use his slanderous comments to make the passion of Christ #1 at the box office. You can't take life from the man that gives life, so I know for sure that the Jews didn't kill Christ. But all this criticism of anti-Semitism is a plot from the devil to blind people's vision, so that when they watch the movie, they will be missing the fact that Christ died to free them from their prison. But I pray for Mel Gibson, I pray that God would keep his heart brave and let the critics keep stepping. Cause when Christ is in your life, that's the most lethal weapon. When Christ is in your life, that's the most lethal weapon. I stay protected and I thank God for that. The Lord be in the rings that the fellowship back. Cause in less than a few hours, 9/11 ruined the two towers. The two towers. But oh no, Christ ain't just the Lord of the Rings. Mr. Frodo, Christ is the Lord of all things. And like part 3, I can't wait for the return of the King. In Christ I got my treasures, he's my precious. Man, every time I slip, I remember the whips and how the whips gripped, and then the whips ripped, and then the blood dripped. Man, every time I slip, every time I slip, every time I slip, man, every time I slip, I remember the bloodshed and how the crown of thorns pierced into his head. I remember the hits, I remember the spit, the cross upon his back and how he carried it. Feel the nails pierced, feel the pierced side, blood and water flowed out from his side. He was crucified just for you and I. When I think about this, I feel like I'ma cry. He did this all for you, he did it all for me. He didn't have to do it, but he did it all for me. Now that's real love, that ain't no fake love. The true savior that came to demonstrate love.
For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised and we esteemed him not. Surely he had borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray, we have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord had laid on him the iniquity of us all.
Man, every time I slip, I remember the whips and how the whips gripped, and how the whips ripped, and then the blood dripped. Man, every time I slip, every time I slip, every time I slip, man, every time I slip, I remember the whips and how the whips gripped, and then the whips ripped, and then the blood dripped. Man, every time I slip, every time I slip, every time I slip.
People be telling me, yo, Rich, man, your whole belief is fake, man. The whole Bible is fiction, you believe in fiction. And I'm like, yeah, the crucifixion, you know what I mean? Hey, yo, this double R, man, righteous entertainment all day, act like you know. And if people can't see that Jesus died for them, and he came and shed blood for them, and he's the way and the truth, ain't nothing left to say, man. You know what I mean?